Half-Life 2 is an amazing game. Just like its predecessor, Half-Life 2 comes packed full of weapons for you to completely ignore. But what if you're God's greatest gamer and no longer find it funny to kill people with a literal toilet? Although that's impossible, as it will never not be funny, let's humor this idea of throwing away everything that makes this game fun by using the worst weapon stored in Gordon's prison wallet, the pistol. Will I have enough bullets to make it through the game? Is this even possible? And will this challenge be harder than beating Half-Life 1 with only the pistol? Link in the description. I'm certain most of you have already clicked off because I'm taking too long to get to the point. But if you haven't, then I love you and thank you for sticking around. As to not waste any more time, I'm going to display the ground rules on screen right now. Pause the video if you care to know what these are. Since you've been waiting so patiently for this video, I won't keep you from the challenge any longer. Without further ado, let's get right into this video. The game starts with me rising and shining 20 years after the Black Mesa incident. Everything about Earth has changed since I've been in stasis, most notably the literal 1984 style dictatorship known as the Combine. I proceed to get in line for the Midwest Fur Fest, but I'm immediately identified for liking pizza a little too much. After being brought to a separate room, the Metro cop revealed that he was actually Barney, and he told me to find a person named Alex to take me to Dr. Kleiner's lab. Although I have no clue who any of these people are, I still decide to help them because I'm just a good person like that. I get outside and discover that the Combine enslaved humanity for their own gain, like Ryan's parents did to Ryan from Ryan's Toy Review. I walked into a random couple's house and saw that they were watching Andrew Tate Sigma content, so to save them from developing brain cancer, I threw the TV out of the window. Apparently the Combine has a rule against disrespecting the Sigma grind, and now I'm a wanted fugitive. I get caught by the police, and just as I heard the sound of unzipping pants, I'm saved by the OG gamer Goonbait. I'm sorry, Laura Croft. I learned that her name is Alex Vance, and I apparently worked with her father back in Black Mesa. She took me to Dr. Kleiner's lab, and they all started yapping about stopping the Combine or something. I don't know, I wasn't paying attention. After a head crab ruined the teleporter, I could finally start playing the game. Barney threw down the crowbar, and just like a homeless person on Adderall, I started destroying public infrastructure. I could ignore this couple that are crying out for help and complete the first challenge of this run, getting the pistol. You see, in Half-Life 1, the pistol is freely given to you by this willing volunteer, but in Half-Life 2, you have to work to earn your pistol. Luckily, there's a conveniently placed explosive barrel up these stairs. By swerving past this Metro cop, you can grab the barrel and let them shoot it until it lights on fire. Then, just throw it down the stairs, and it's safe to say that he's having a closed casket funeral. I now have my hands on the one and only friend I'll ever need in life, the H&K USP match. I continue on through the level and kill a few Metro cops standing near explosive barrels. I love that video games invented this concept of explosive barrels, like it's something we encounter in everyday life. I continued towards the refugee camp, but accidentally stumbled upon the Combine filming a hostage execution video. I couldn't let them get away with this, so I ensured to fill these guys with more lead than Mr. Beast's lunch league. I was making good progress through the canals and was playing some good old-fashioned barnacle bowling. Getting through this part of the game was pretty easy, considering the player would normally only have the pistol. I got to this guy's apartment, but it turns out he didn't pay his rent on time, so his landlord flooded it with manhacks. I personally did not want to intervene because I too am a landlord and understand the struggle of getting a single mother to pay 3 times rent. Moving on, Metro cops descended into my position. This was where the real challenge started, as these cops were all armed with SMGs. I made quick work of these guys, but I knew there would be more challenging sections up ahead. Also, since a new weapon was introduced, I was worried that the game would stop giving me pistol ammo and would only try to give me SMG ammo. Luckily, Valve was way ahead of ChatGPT and OpenAI when it came to creating our next AI overlord, introducing the AI Director. This AI is so smart, it can tell what ammo I need and make sure it spawns in these little supply boxes throughout the game. It's safe to say that I'll be eating good during this run, and there will definitely be no point in the game where there aren't any of these boxes, and I won't ever run out of ammo. After that, I made it to Florida and made sure to run past all the crazy Florida men. I made it to an outpost where they gave me an airboat. I twisted and turned through the canals until I was stopped at the first Combine checkpoint. I quickly cleaned up the first 2 Metro police and then decided to ignore all these manhacks. Unfortunately, a cop on the mounted gun cut this attempt short. On my second attempt, I played some Metal Gear Solid by using a barrel and slowly walking towards the mounted gun. I threw aside the barrel and then flatlined the gunner. Unfortunately, during the next encounter, the manhacks caught up to me, ending my subscription to life. On my third attempt, I decided to shoot all the manhacks so they wouldn't wouldn't interfere with the next fight. After playing peekaboo with this cop again, I used the door, opening it to pick off a target and then closing it before the others could respond. I repeated this process, and once all the Metro police were defeated, I shot the explosive barrels, activating the Cattering ram. I started running towards the exit, but when I opened the door, more reinforcements arrived. Since 90% of full frontal assaults stop right before overwhelming the enemy, I decided to press forward. Unfortunately, that statistic proved to be false, and I had to retreat to this room where the stupid camera summoned the blinding light of Allah to end my run. I then tapped into my inner gamer and proceeded to use the door strat. I camped the door and waited for them to file forward, shooting into the crowd whenever I got the opportunity. After that, I admired the pile of corpses before walking into the next encounter. I carefully gunned down this guy in the corner before proceeding to shoot the two cops behind this table. The next part of the canals had APCs shooting homing rockets towards me. I did my best to dodge the rockets and Combine, who happened to rappel in front of me. As funny as vehicular manslaughter is, it's not a viable tactic in this run, so I had to swerve past them. I managed to evade danger, but like President Nixon, water gates tend to be a problem. In order to progress, I had to carefully clear out this Combine checkpoint and open up the water gate. Normally, it's easy, as you'd have the trusty SMG, throwable grenades, and are even blessed with a 357 Magnum. However, if you're a Neanderthal who still hasn't figured out the problem, then I encourage you to reread the title of this video. Like a Catholic girl in college, this first part was easy, but this warehouse is where the difficulty began. I walked into the warehouse and immediately found myself on the low ground, which as we all know is still a serious disadvantage. Metro cops start to flood in and shoot me down from up top. I try my best to shoot them, but I need to stay on the move because I'm constantly being chased by manhacks. I ended up playing the world's most intense match of Ring Around the Rosie. I danced around these supply crates and then wasted a few more from below. I ran after this last guy who left all of his friends to die. I caught up to him and now he's in spectator mode. I had to run to the control tower where I peeked my head in and killed both of the operators. I then pressed the button which operated the floodgate. I dodged the chopper's bullets on my way back to the airboat and took off, and in the next part of the level, I had to continue driving to the Florida Everglades as the helicopter dropped bombs on me. It was pretty easy to dodge the bombs, and I eventually made it to this outpost where the FBI bestowed upon me a gun with every attachment they want banned and sent me to a Walmart across the street. As you all may have figured out, this gun was totally useless, and I had to resort to using my pistol to kill all these terrible people as Martha Speaks would have intended. I carried on through the canals until I got to the chopper fight. Normally, you just use your self-defense LMG to shred the helicopter, but unfortunately, I did not have this luxury. Luckily for me, I didn't actually have to kill the helicopter to progress. I just needed to press this button to open the dam so I could hop across. However, much like an indie game fandom, this button is being gatekeeped. I tried multiple times to open the valve to get across, but there was no chance of getting it to open with the helicopter constantly showering me with bullets. I decided to try and find another way around by gaining as much speed as I could, ramping up this ledge and then exiting my airboat. I found a spot where I could exit the airboat and then jump onto the dock, which would then allow me to jump onto mainland. Once I was up here, I could enter the warehouse and obliterate these two cops. I resupplied my health and armor and then made a mad dash for the button. I ended up hiding behind a barrel halfway through my journey. This literally felt like that scene from the 300 with an over-exaggerated amount of projectiles showering me from above while this flimsy metal shield took all of the damage. Eventually, I messed it up and ended up in the obituary section of the morning paper. It seems that the helicopter hangs around and shoots at you while you're in very specific positions, so standing still wasn't going to be an option. I tried carrying the barrel with me, but the bullets would rip the prop out of my hands, ending my life abruptly. I gave up on this idea of being careful and decided to just full send it towards the button. It actually worked quite well. All I needed to do now was get to my airboat and then survive a 120-foot drop. After all of that, I finally made it to Eli's lab just in time for dinner. This chapter started out with my worst nightmare, being trapped on an elevator with a woman. I finally got to meet Eli Vance, who kept insisting that he knew me despite never speaking to this man a day in my life. He seemed like a total bro until he broke up this escalating chick fight. Now that Eli is added to my Excel spreadsheet of people who've wronged me, I went on a walk with Alex, who showed me the interesting sights of Eli's lab.
That's the old passage to Ravenholm. We don't go there anymore.
I then got gravity gun certified and absolutely dunked on Dog. It turns out the video I took of Eli breaking up the chick fight went viral on social media, and the Combine raided his lab for breaking such an integral rule of the bro code. While running back to the lab, rubble fell down and separated Alex and I. Instead of using Dog's super strength to move aside the rubble, we decided to take the scenic route through Ravenholm. I entered Ravenholm, which made Detroit look like a tourist destination. I immediately found myself surrounded by zombies, and never before have I clicked mouse 1 so fast. I cleared out this house and then eviscerated bro who was just chilling. I eventually made it to this factory building where I met Half-Life's aura farmer. Like a furry artist, he made a lot of traps which I could use to my advantage as long as I didn't walk into them myself. Entering the factory building, I strategically threw explosive barrels to fry these chum bucket zombie wannabes. I then ran upstairs and flipped a lever to turn off the electricity, shocking this ladder. I continued on and got to this ledge where I cleared out this Bosnian minefield. It was around here I noticed that I was at low ammo, and as is tradition when you have no ammo, the game decided to spawn in a bunch of enemies down these stairs. Since this is the only way forward, I slowly backed up to let all the zombies file out. Then I jumped down the stairs and made it to safety through the load trigger. I dodged some more zombies, but I soon reached the next challenge of this run. You see, Valve decided to add 3 zombie types to this game, those being the basic lobotomite, which shuffles around aimlessly and rarely poses a threat, the poison zombie, which throws 3 fent-laced head crabs, and a pit bull named Princess. I got to the introduction of the fast zombie, which was a mandatory sit around and wait for the slow-moving exit to come get you section. If you recall, I have no ammo, so I was trampled over faster than a kid at Astro World. I'm certain you feel old hearing that, as that was 4 years ago now. On my second attempt, I decided that life just wasn't worth it anymore, so I jumped off the building. Unfortunately for all of you, I survived, and you'll have to continue listening to my dog shit commentary. For some reason, the fast zombies decided to pack it up and leave after I tried to end it all. The elevator had made its way up, so I took it right the way down. Once I got down, I was swarmed like a rich kid in the Bronx. Through careful maneuvering, I managed to escape with both my life and Louis Vuitton HEV suit. Walking a bit further, I made a 200 IQ move and filleted this fast zombie who wanted to touch me. I pulled the lever, which moved a pallet, allowing me to Kyle Crane my way over rooftops. I was nearing the end of Ravenholm, but I still had a few challenges left before leaving this place, which was honestly scarier than a job application. My second to last challenge saw another sit around and wait for the slow-moving exit thing to come get you segment, while fast zombies swarmed in to kill me. At first, I tried playing a little bit of COD Zombies, circling around the zombies in the hopes that they wouldn't hit me, but that just wasn't working, so I tried a different plan, unaliving, because it worked so well the first time. Unfortunately, these zombies weren't playing around like the last batch, and they always hopped down and proceeded to introduce me to God. After dancing around the platform a bit, I found a spot right by the lever where I can barely stand and the zombies can't hit me. While I'm standing here waiting for this trolley cart, I wanted to remind you that you are an amazing person who deserves all the love and joy that life has to offer. Life may be challenging right now, and you may not be in a good place mentally, and that's perfectly okay. Remember that tomorrow is another day, and it's another chance to start slowly recovering from whatever pain has been inflicted upon you. It'll take some time, but I believe in you. Just a reminder that you matter more than you realize. Right now, you could be some stranger who was halfway across the earth watching this video because you thought what I had to say was interesting, and that means so much to me. I know my jokes really aren't that funny, but thank you for making it this far into the video. You're amazing, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Anyways, let's get back to my suffering. After taking the ski lift, I was now face to face with Father Grigori. All that was left was a casual stroll through the graveyard where he could open the exit and we could part ways. This section was totally easy and wasn't a nightmare at all due to having no ammo and constant resets for around an hour. With that, I can jump balls first into this hole and exit Ravenholm. As I made my way out of Ravenholm, I was blinded by the sun, which reminded me of my real life and how I never go outside. This is where I met the Combine, transhuman soldiers who have more health and heftier weapons than their Metro Cop counterparts. Because I was at low ammo, I decided to run past these soldiers and entered a warehouse where a group of rebels were in a firefight with some Combine. I strategically threw some barrels to take out some Combine and then shot the rest. I learned my ultimate Riz YouTube clout paid off because Alex asked me out on a date. To make it to my date on time, I had to drink and drive on Highway 17. I made sure to swerve past antlines and other obstacles while driving over the speed limit. However, my fun was cut short as I made it to NLO. Unfortunately, to progress any further with the car, you have to destroy a gunship, which requires using a rocket launcher. If you haven't noticed, a rocket launcher uses a completely different caliber of ammo than my pistol, meaning I cannot progress this way. I reversed my car right up against the gate and then used my car to jump over it. Well, guess I'm walking. Making my way through the level, I eventually got to the crane segment. There were plenty of combine preventing me from climbing the ladder up to the dock, so I decided to hop onto this boat and kill this combine before hopping onto the dock. I ran past more combine and then tried my hardest not to cause an OSHA violation while knocking down the bridge. I continued running and gave these 3 combine workers comp. I exploded some more combine and then laid out another to dry. I then killed another combine and barely escaped with 4 health. Now I must apologize to you all, for I must commit a cardinal sin more atrocious than ordering pineapple on pizza. You see, without the car, I could not make it across this gap normally, but to have the car, I need to fight a gunship, which requires me to use a weapon that isn't the pistol. Now that you see my dilemma, I hope you can all forgive me for what's about to happen. Like Billy Mitchell, I decided to break the rules, using a glitch called the accelerated backwards bunny hop to gain momentum and clear the gap. I hope you can all forgive me for using a glitch during this run, but seeing as it saves me from not using the pistol, I think it's allowed. Although I've made it past this obstacle, how am I going to make it past the mandatory gunship fight at the lighthouse and the entrance to Nova Prospekt? Will I even have enough ammo to take on the antlion guard? Well, I guess that's a problem for future me to solve. As I slowly walk along this highway, I want to remind you that if you're for some reason finding me funny, then you should totally like the video and subscribe. I normally don't like begging for YouTuber stuff because it feels insincere and cheap, but I genuinely do love the audience I've gained so far and am so thankful for everyone who is supporting me. If you want me to play through the Half-Life 2 episodes using only the pistol, then get this video to 3,000 likes and I'll do so. Also, I noticed only like 10% of my subscribers actually watched my last video. I presume this has to do with the fact that I'm a small channel and YouTube is probably less likely to recommend my content to you. So do yourself a favor and click that little bell icon to be sure you never miss an upload. God, that sounded like a generic YouTuber. I eventually made it to this bridge where absolutely no remarkable event in streaming history ever happened. My first plan was to walk around the force field, but that wasn't an option, so it was time for plan B. Plan B was to actually play the game like normal, by going under the bridge. While traversing this OSHA violation, your mother decided to walk across the bridge. 2 combine soldiers started shooting at me, so I had to remind them why they call me God's greatest gamer. I then made it to a room where I was ambushed by the combine. With careful positioning, I was able to blow up these explosive barrels, crushing 2 combine instantly. If I got lucky, then the combine would throw a grenade and accidentally liquefy one of their friends. I tried to get past this point multiple times, but I eventually realized this wasn't going to be possible, so I decided to initiate Plan C. Plan C is just Plan A, but better. Instead of trying to just walk around, I used props to build a series of towers which acted as stairs for me to hop over the force field. With that, I can play chicken with the train and enter the tunnels to Sandtraps. I continued following the highway and basically ran past the last 2 combat encounters before the lighthouse. Remember how I said this was a problem for future me? Well, now I'm future me, and past me is an asshole. You see, during this section of the game, the combine raided the lighthouse checkpoint, which would be fine if it didn't end in a gunship fight. As we all know, the gunship cannot be killed by the pistol, so I'd have to find another way around. At first, I tried sliding down this edge onto the pathway, but this proved to be impossible as someone decided to make this ledge entirely out of butter. I then changed up my strategy by using this tree. By landing on the tree, it catches me and allows me to squeeze into an area not covered by the push trigger. Unfortunately, I found out the hard way that this next outcrop was, so I need to figure out another way around this. I continued using the same strategy of jumping onto the tree and then dodging the push trigger, but instead of trying to reach the next platform, I decided to skip right to the end by throwing a grenade and then jumping at the perfect time to gain enough momentum to launch me to the end. With that gunship fight skipped, I still had the Nova Prospekt fight ahead of me. Besides, yet another challenge is about to present itself, that being the antlion guard. I certainly did not have the ammo to take on this beast, but I have to kill it to move forward, so now what? Well, I devised a plan. I took as many explosive barrels as possible and threw them all into the arena. From there, I dodged the antlion guard and shot the barrels. I was able to pull this off multiple times and it was going well, but I eventually ran out of barrels and the antlion guard had not died. Luckily for me though, I'm playing on the updated patch of the game and discovered that an NPC rebel now mans the turret on top of the outpost. In no time at all, the antlion guard had gained the same living status as Pope Francis. I then found myself on the beaches of Normandy with my newly acquired antlion friends. I honestly never gave antlions much credit. These guys absolutely clear house and are to the combine what pitbulls are to toddlers. I did use my pistol here and there, but normally I just take out 1 or 2 enemies and see that the antlions already dealt with the rest. I managed to get to the beach section fairly fairly painlessly. However, I used up the last of my ammo, turning some Combine into Swiss cheese. I narrowly avoided death by jumping past this Combine and then made it smoothly into Nova Prospekt, but I wasn't home free just yet. To actually enter Nova Prospekt, you have to fight a gunship. So was I able to skip this fight too? Well, I have some very unfortunate news for you gamers. I could not beat Half-Life 2 using only the pistol. I know this is heartbreaking news, especially since we made it this far. You might be thinking, why don't you find a glitch that gets you through like you did with the other chapters? To which I reply with, I'm neither smart enough nor patient enough to figure out a glitch to get past this section of the game. Although I was unable to beat the whole game using only the pistol, I would still like to see how far I can get using the world's worst cordless hole puncher. The inside of Nova Prospekt was fairly easy for the most part. There were a few combat encounters, and the hired help of the antlines definitely made most encounters pretty easy. I was making very good progress through the level and really only saw pushback from this combat encounter. Taking out all the Combine on the ground level was fairly easy. It was mostly getting jumped by the Combine on the balcony which were giving me a problem. I eventually just used my barrel strat and let my antlines jump ahead and take all the aggression. I eventually reached this point where two Combine were blocking the path ahead. For some reason, my antlines decided to be more useless than diet water, leaving me to fight these two Combine on my own. This normally wouldn't be a problem if it wasn't for the fact that I only had 30 health. I locked into the Buddhist life cycle of dying and respawning until I eventually got a run which could advance my stay in society. Continuing through the level, I met up with Alex for our date. We had a romantic time together, shooting and killing soldiers as well as breaking dangerous criminals out of jail. We eventually made it to the teleporter room where we learned Dr. Mossman was a Combine spy. This combat encounter is actually really easy. Just position the turrets as so and shoot any stragglers as needed. Eventually the teleporter was ready and we made it back to Kleiner's lab. Due to an error with the teleporter, Alex and I were sent a week into the future. Since we were gone, a human uprising against the Combine sparked, and our new objective was simple: get to the Citadel and put down Wallace Breen like a healthcare CEO. If Luigi could do it with only 9mm, then so could I. I went outside and watched Dog Denny's Grand Slam the Combine. I then met my subscribers who, like in real life, will mindlessly follow every command I give them and die for me. We killed a few Metro cops and concluded that Half-Life 2 has to take place in Bosnia because of all these goddamn landmines. We kept pushing on, killing every cop we saw like this was Payday 2. I kept going through the level until I met the Girl Squad. Although it looks like this game took a page out of Harvey Weinstein's book by choosing these NPCs, these ladies were the definition of gaslight gatekeeping girl boss, surviving and overcoming every obstacle that got in their way. You're probably wondering why I'm surprised this group of girls survived storming this checkpoint, and I promise you it's not because I'm sexist. Rather, the rebel NPCs in this game have the average life expectancy of a smoking pregnancy. Their girl power proved strong when clearing out this apartment of Metro cops, suffering no losses with a quick and easy cleanup. However, this was the beginning of the end of our feminine fighters, as two of them died to manhacks on this overpass section. I guess despite being called manhacks, their blades don't discriminate. With some cleverly placed explosive barrels and patience, I was able to take this underpass and then hold out until the wall exploded. Unfortunately, during this fight, we lost the last two girls to manhacks. Rest in peace, Girl Squad. I'll never forget you when I have to pay 18% more for a man. My newfound squad and I made our way through more Combine controlled territory. We made sure to play it carefully and take out as many soldiers as possible. Honestly, much like the antlines, I never gave much credit to the NPCs, as they'd normally be eviscerated in nanoseconds. But when holding back and moving carefully, these guys clean up Combine like a Mr. Clean magic eraser. I made it to this damaged apartment and had basically no more ammo. Luckily, I had insane pathing and was able to escape with minimal harm. I regrouped with Alex, and she absolutely carried me through this next section as I ran out of ammo. I was her passenger princess, basically taking the back seat during this entire fight. I don't know how I did it, but we managed to narrowly escape with our lives. I was once again on my own as I continued to run past and kill Combine. I eventually met back up with Barney, but he unfortunately threw my run like an infant child because I had to use grenades to save him. Don't worry, this will definitely be the last time Barney absolutely ruins my run. We eventually made it to the Capitol building, which was preventing our entrance to the Citadel. I'm gonna be honest with you, this section of the game probably took a few years off of my life. I didn't have any ammo, and I basically had to rely on Barney the whole time. Throughout this segment, I believe I had over 300 resets as I constantly was rolling RNG for Barney to pick the proper positioning and and dish out consistent damage, while also banking on the Combine throwing grenades stupidly and killing their friends, which actually happens more often than you'd think. Also, let's not forget that Barney crouches and hides from this turret and won't continue walking until you use grenades to kill it, once again ruining this run. I would share with you everything that happened during this segment, but it would be really boring to watch and also explain, as I basically had to cower and hope for the best. Once again, there was a mandatory gunship fight on the roof. This one can probably be skipped over since it most likely takes a grenade jump, but I can't be bothered to figure that out, so I guess that's another forced use of the rocket launcher. Surprisingly, the Strider fight on the ground can be skipped, but it's extremely difficult to get by without killing them. After multiple resets and countless hours I'll never get back, I finally made it to the load trigger. I made it to this parking garage looking building and was blessed with 9mm ammo to absolutely solo all these Combine. I made it to the last major combat encounter of the run, where I locked the hell in. Through careful positioning and mag dumping, I was able to slowly whittle away these Combine in this trashed building. I pressed on and reminded these Combine that I am in fact the right man in the wrong place. Once again, I come bearing bad news. This section requires me to kill Striders with a rocket launcher. Honestly, Follow the Freeman is the chapter which absolutely kills this run, and I will never treat it with the same respect ever again. I finally made it to the Citadel, where I could pop Dr. Breen's Christopher Lee looking melon and save the day. When I entered the Citadel, I got a free ride showcasing the massive scale of the Combine. Oh, that was a cool ride. Wait, what's happening? Wait, no! That's right, my trusty H&K USP match had been pulled right out of my hands and disintegrated to its molecular level right before my eyes. Is this it? Is it over? Do I cave and use the super gravity gun to fold my opponents like laundry? Of course not, because we're not little bitches in this household. Although I was forced to use other weapons in the past, I am willing to die over and over again if it means I get to complete this segment without using the super gravity gun to kill Combine. I had finally made it to Dr. Breen's teleporter core, and with one last throw of a Combine ball, I can say I finally beat Half-Life 2 with almost only using the pistol.
Time, Mr. Gman. Is it really that time for me to clown on you again?
God damn it, why are you here?
Well, I only wanted to congratulate you for amassing a YouTube following in such a short time span. You've done so well, in fact, you even managed to bag fine shit over here, despite being a beta male. Despite my previous comments on your channel, I'm actually a subscriber myself.
Oh, cool, man, thanks.
However, I've come to the realization that this was a poor choice after I watched you use glitches to complete your challenge.
Please don't.
I'm in your comments right now. Mid-YouTuber, comma, unsubscribed, and send. I suppose I should retreat to my goon cave once more, only emerging when you fail another Half-Life challenge, which is in, well, I'm really not at liberty to say. In the meantime, this is where I get off.
Oh, I'm G'ing it. I'm G-manning it.
So there you have it. Once again, I failed to beat Half-Life 2 with only a pistol. If you enjoyed this video and for some reason found me funny, then please like and subscribe to my channel for more unfunny content. If you're one of those people who comment something about hoping I get famous or something, then consider sharing this video with friends and making them subscribe, because that is the best way to help my channel gain traction. And remember that if this video gets 3,000 likes, then I'll play through both Half-Life episodes using only the pistol. Also, since I'm a small YouTuber, YouTube is less likely to put my content on your homepage, so please click the bell icon and never miss an upload. As always, thank you to Something Spooky for making the thumbnail and voicing the G-Man in this video. Link to his channel down below. And if you're a Q hater and thought that this video was incredibly long, unfunny, and was a waste of your time, then yeah, I agree. This wasn't worth it at all, and I doubt anybody actually cares about this content. So yeah, bye.